Hello, I'm Betsy Cooper, a member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates, but rather works to provide information about the candidates and the issues before the voters. We are interviewing the North Kitsap School Board District 3 candidates that will appear on your November ballot, which you should receive in the mail around mid-October. We are asking 5 questions, and the candidates will have 90 seconds to answer each question. Let's get to know Miranda Joy Smallwood. Miranda, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and to tell us why you chose to run for the office of North Kitsap School Board District 3.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation to join. I've been incredibly impressed with all the work of League of Women Voters and are a great resource. So I'm super thrilled to be here and participating. Again, my name is Miranda Smallwood, and I have grown up in North Kitsap as a student within North Kitsap schools, and I'm a graduate of North Kitsap High School, and I myself am a public school educator. I'm in my 17th year as a public school educator now, and just have a deep passion for learning and education. And why I'm running for school board is because I live and breathe the importance of the work of our school board. I am so grateful and impressed with the quality board members and decisions and values that I have seen throughout my years as a public school educator. I know how important it is, and in our district with our residential requirements, with the opening within District 3, as I was asking around who is running and saw the opportunity and heard the call from others to run and the need to run, I was called by many community members to serve.
All right. Thank you, Miranda. Now for our first question. The role of a public school district board of directors is to govern by setting policies and making decisions that shape the education of students. What are some of the key responsibilities of a school director that support successful governance of a public school system?
So as a school director, my goal would be to ensure that every decision from budget, policy to accountability supports our students, supports families and community, and not just as a checkbox, but as a way to lift up voices and needs of everyone in our district, starting with vision, goals, high expectations, making sure that we continue with having an established and shared educational vision, one that if I'm on board, I would continue to make sure is rooted in equity and belonging, making sure that all students, regardless of background, have access to resources, have opportunities to thrive, that we are setting concrete goals around student achievement and well-being, and making sure that we're aligning our strategic plan as continuing this work that has been been worked on for years within the district, and moving forward and continuing to advance that, bringing in community input regularly so that vision reflects the hopes and challenges of our neighborhoods that we serve. And with the policy and governance, again, just ensuring that access is grounded and responsive to our community realities for safety and inclusivity.
Okay, thank you. On to question 2. The district's annual budget shows the board's commitment towards fulfilling the goals of the instructional program and providing for an efficient and effective operation of the district. Regarding the district's budget process, what strategies do you suggest to address any deficit faced in the future, especially relating to declining of student enrollment or the loss of federal funding?
It's important to me that always remembering when we're looking at budgets and looking at numbers, to remember that we aren't just looking at numbers, that we're reflecting values as we are building a budget. So I'm very committed to that transparency and fairness and putting student needs first. And if looking at a budget and working with the board and superintendent and community on any budget cut or reallocation, making sure that we're preserving what matters most to our students. And for me, that's high quality instruction, safety, student support, equity and belonging. And so that's, back to my previous answer regarding the strategic vision. That's what's so important about having those goals and that alignment. And before having to make any adjustments or reallocations because of potentially those concerns of declining enrollment, asking that question and going through a framework of, does this advance our mission of belonging and opportunity for students? And if it doesn't, and there's not strong data that we attach to that, that possibly could be a candidate for reassessment within a budget. Also, being really proactive with multi-year financing, looking at that data early and regularly, and being really transparent at all times.
Okay, thank you. On to question 3. The National Education Association has stated support for school libraries, and in recent years, many books have become controversial. How do school boards navigate the concerns of parents, teachers, librarians, and students regarding sensitive content?
As a school board director and candidate, my focus, and as a just educator in general, my focus is, and my core values are joyful leadership, genuine accountability, and community partnership. And when it comes to sensitive content within our libraries, our role as a board isn't to make decisions based on our personal opinion, but to uphold our policy, and to do that with transparency. And so we have within North Kitsap really strong policies already that help to guide how our instructional and library materials are selected. We have committees of teachers and parents, administrators who are reviewing our texts for alignment with state standards, diverse perspectives, our legal requirements. And if a community member or a family has concerns, there's a really clear process to follow. And it's important that as a board, we transparently and consistently and fairly follow that process to ensure that families' voices are heard and listened to, while also respecting the expertise of our educators and our librarians. And our policies also require us to include diverse voices, our sovereign nation, present day in history. Oh, I see the stop timer.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Question 4. Local levies and bond funding are indispensable for North Kitsap School District and other districts across the state. Levies provide critical resources for day-to-day operations and enrich the educational experience, while bonds are critical for building and maintaining school facilities. If elected to the board of directors, how would you engage with community members, providing transparent information regarding these initiatives and foster trust that is essential to the successful outcome of a levy or a bond election?
Mhm. So yes, thank you. Levies are for learning and bonds are for building. One of my favorite mantras from a community relations director. So our levies and our bonds are so critical, and they're not extras. They're essential for keeping our schools strong. And my commitment would be to make sure that our community has clear accessible, honest information, and have a real voice in the process of that decision making, bringing people in early before measures reach the ballot, through things that are currently in place, and then growing from there, like advisory committees, the school forums that have been happening recently, engaging in some town halls as a district could be an option, making that space for families, for teachers, for students, for our sovereign nation, government to government relationships with the Port Gamble Sklallam tribe and the Suquamish tribe, ensuring that all of our meetings are very accessible in multiple ways. And that voices are truly heard, and that transparency and clarity when we're asking our community to invest is huge. And so plain language, explanations, sharing data, how tax dollars are going to be used clearly, and then regular reports.
Thank you. Our final question. What strategies would you employ to foster a positive and inclusive school climate where diversity is celebrated and all students feel safe and respected?
So again, back to my core values of I've talked about campaign core values. My core values as a person and as an educator are joy, love, and community. And for me, fostering that positive and inclusive school climate is about making sure that every student feels safe, that they feel respected, that they're seen for who they are, that they're celebrated for who they are. Our district mission now includes knowing our students by name, strength, and need, and that for me includes a strong commitment to equity and anti-discrimination, to a safe learning environment where bullying, harassment, exclusion have no place, and we're really explicit about that as a community, and our adults within the schools really set the tone. And so it's important that we provide ongoing training for ourselves as a board and for our staff in cultural competency, in social emotional learning, in our trauma informed practices, so that we as the adults and the staff have tools to respond with and model and teach empathy and respect amongst our community of students and staff and families.
Thank you. Thank you, Miranda, Joy, Smallwood, for running for office and sharing your views. I'm Betsy Cooper, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap, thank you for watching, and please share this video. If you want to help the League do this work, consider joining the League at LWV.org. Don't forget to return your ballot by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 4th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Betsy Cooper. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates, but rather works to provide information about the candidates and the issues before the voters. We are interviewing the North Kitsap School Board District 3 candidates that will appear on your ballot, which you should be receiving in the mail about mid-October. We are asking 5 questions, and the candidates will have 90 seconds to answer each question. Let's get to know Timothy Rovik. Tim, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and to tell us why you chose to run for the office of North Kitsap School District, District 3.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Betsy and Michelle. It's a privilege and an honor to be on TV. So this is really helpful. I appreciate the opportunity. As you have said, my name is Tim Rovik. and running for position number 3 at North Kitsap School Board. I'm running because I really care about students. I love students. I have 4 grandkids right now in the public schools at North Kitsap. They're bilingual. My adult children, 3 of them went to North Kitsap schools many years ago. So I'm involved in schools. We have been involved in their lives and now our grandkids' lives. I want to see kids succeed. I'd like to see them do better. We know that scores are down, but I want to see kids flourish and succeed in an environment where the basics are taught, reading, writing, and math, focusing on those basics, getting those under our belts, and achieving success with our children. What happens now will determine 5 and 10 years from now in their lives. So that's why I'm running. I have a passion to see kids do well and to succeed, first in academics and then in relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. All right, now for our first question. The role of public school district boards of directors is to govern by setting policies and making decisions that shape the education of students. What are some of the key responsibilities of a school director that support successful governance of a public school system?
Good question. Thank you. First of all, the board is responsible for hiring and evaluating and collaborating with the district superintendent. Also, the board is a liaison between local, state, and federal government entities. We speak to them, find out what their needs are and what our needs are. We also liaison between the school district and the community. It's important that we hear from the community. We need to be listeners to what their needs are. And so we are there to be an advocate for children to the community. We need to hear from the community as well. Also, students, the board is there to monitor student achievement and success. We need to see how they're doing with all the programs and the classes that they're offered and see what's working and what isn't working. So we're there to monitor the achievement of students. Lastly, we're there to ensure equal access to all resources for all students.
Okay, thank you. On to question 2. A district's annual budget shows the board's commitment towards fulfilling the goals of the instructional program and providing for efficient and effective operation of the district. Regarding the district's budget process, what strategies do you suggest to address any deficits faced in the future, especially relating to declines in student enrollment or loss of federal funding?
There has been a renewed discussion nationwide of cutting back on education, and apparently North Kitsap will lose in the 26-27 school year about $100 million. And so in funding, in federal funding. And so we have our hands full trying to balance a budget. I think one of the things that I would like to implement is to research why there has been a decline in student population. There's been approximately about 200 student loss in the last 4 years in North Kitsap, and that's dollars that we're losing. Around $18,000 per student is lost when we lose students. I'd like to research what's causing the number decline in public education. Also, what we might need to do is look at staffing, seeing if there's issues that we can do to reduce staffing, but not willingly. But we know attrition and retirement, things like that, have allowed a buffer with our budget issues. And I think the bottom line question is, what sacrifices do we need to make, whether students or staff, for the success of students? It won't be easy when we talk about sacrifices.
No. Thank you. On to question 3. The National Education Association has stated support for school libraries, and in recent years, many books have become considered controversial. How do school boards navigate the concerns of parents, teachers, librarians, and students regarding sensitive content?
So what I have learned from reading this question is that there's a central librarian in North Kitsap School District that reviews and selects books for the library. Now, we know that this book banning has become a national hot potato. And from what I've learned, a student or a parent or teacher can file a complaint with a librarian. And that would lead to informal reconsideration by the librarian. If that particular process doesn't work, that can go to a formal request to the Instructional Materials Committee. And that's made up of community members, professionals, teachers, to look at the material and see if it follows guidelines, appropriate guidelines, if it has true value, true educational value, if it's based on truth and not just on fiction, et cetera. And then they make a final decision, this committee, in terms of that book's value in that library or in the curriculum. The challenging parties are then notified by the superintendent once this committee makes their final review. But the bottom line for me is freedom of conscience, and there should be an opt-out program for that if people are not happy with the book.
Thank you. On to question 4. Local levies and bond funding are indispensable for North Kitsap School District and other districts across the state. Levies provide critical resources for day-to-day operations and enrichment and educational experience, while bonds are critical for building and maintaining school facilities. If elected to the board of directors, how would you engage with community members, providing transparent information regarding these initiatives and foster trust that is essential to the successful outcome of any levy or bond election?
Thank you. From what I gather, 16% of our budget for schools is from levies. Educational programs and operations provide for athletics, health, extracurricular activities. And I think the bottom line for this discussion on being transparent and asking for dollars and levies is to show the need. What is the need that we have that's really a genuine need? Some things may or may not be genuine. And I think the board needs to work through those difficult issues of what is actually needed for the school district before we put a levy out to vote for the public. I think that issues like that can be done through newsletters, social media, and board website. All those things can be ways for the public to be informed about the need for increased funding. It needs to be transparent and it needs to be genuine. And I think the question that we need to ask too is the money that we're asking for a good investment, a good return based on what's happening in the schools today? When grades are mediocre, is the public going to be more or less excited about shelling out more money with levies and bonds? So those are important issues. I think there's a relationship there.
Okay, thank you. Our final question. What strategies would you employ to foster a positive and inclusive school climate where diversity is celebrated and all students feel safe and respected?
I would like to first make sure that all cultures are respected equally. and that there's no culture that's better than another, that they're all respected equally. Culture is people, the habits of people have from different countries, the way they think, the way they do things. Those need to be respected. And I think to make that happen, I think presentations in the classroom and curriculum, sharing these issues of culture through presentations, classroom presentations, curriculum, are ways in which students can learn and to respect other cultures that might be foreign to them. I have grandkids that are from another culture, and we learn a lot just by living with them, by having them here in our area. And secondly, I think for all students to be feel safe and respected, I think the faculty and staff needs to foster an atmosphere of open dialogue and freedom of expression without discrimination or penalty. I think that's so important because there's a lot of different controversies now, but I think it's very important that students feel that they have a right to express themselves without penalizing or discrimination with their views and values. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you to Timothy Rovik for running for office and sharing your views. I'm Betsy Cooper on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. Thank you for watching, and please share this video. I also want to, I want to ask if you would like to help the League do this work. Consider joining the League of Women Voters at lwv.org. Don't forget to return that ballot by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 4th.